I am really happy to have on Todd Rockhill. You may know Todd from a long resume of bands. Some of my personal favorites to call out: In Like Flynn, The Draft, Thunderclap, and Discount. Todd, welcome into the podcast. How are you today, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me. Feeling good.
Good. Glad that you're feeling good. Are you keeping busy?
Um, Not as busy as I should, but yeah, keeping my mind active.
There you go. Well, you got a reunion coming up. In Like
Yeah,
Flynn, seemed like it came out of nowhere. Just reunion show.
yeah.
Talk about that. Let's get that out of the way because that's really exciting stuff.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, yeah. Well, and like Flynn, was a band in like 1995. We broke up, so it's been pushing 30 years. With this record label that my current band Thunderclap, they put out our records, but he had an interest in doing a digital discography. So we Ashtray Monument is what we're talking about.
Right.
They just put all our old stuff online, and they're having a fest later this month. And casually, I mentioned, "Hey, I think I could get In Like Flynn to play," and they got really excited. And I kind of wish I hadn't opened my mouth, but now I got everybody together, and we're gonna play.
Why is that? Why do you wish you didn't open your mouth?
Oh, I then I actually have to do work and relearn songs that half of them I forgot on purpose. That was a long time ago. High school songs.
Absolutely.
I have to revisit the high school catalog.
Did you ever revisit any In Like Flynn songs with any other band, maybe as like during a live show?
No, never. No. Yeah, it was pop punk, high school pop punk band. I definitely had a phase where I felt I was over that. It's too good to play pop punk for a while there, maybe. But now I guess in my old age, I refound what I got excited about music to begin with, which a lot of it was just fun pop punk music. And it's been a lot of fun playing these songs again, for sure.
I was going to ask you, what has that been like for you revisiting these songs that are 20 years old, 25 years old at this point?
Yeah, 25 plus here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a blast. It's it's kind of reminding me why I started to play music in the first place.
And what about the other guys in the band? Have you remained close over the years?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Micah we live in the same town still, so we hang out all the time anyway.
Where are you living? Like
Gainesville.
whereabouts? Gainesville.
Gainesville. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every band you've been in since has been stamped with Gainesville. So
Yeah, I moved here right after high school. Well, yeah, shortly after high school, and I've stayed here ever since. So, except for In Like Flynn, every other band is based out of Gainesville.
And In Like Flynn didn't really put out a whole lot of there was the 7-inch and there was the tape, some comp tracks. Yeah. So this compilation that Ashtray Monument has put together, is this the complete discography?
The complete stuff I'll allow the public to hear discography, yes.
How much else was recorded that you're not allowing to see the light of day?
There's a couple songs that just weren't good, didn't cut the mustard. But we had a short EP's worth of songs that we never released. We broke up, and those just kind of just sat in a vault for 20 years. And a few of those are on the discography, but not all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
How long do you think your set's going to be at the Monufest?
We're just going to play 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. All the songs are super short. super fast, short and to the point, too fast.
I would say out of all the bands you've played in after In Like Flynn, maybe Discount is the closest in terms of
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah. Well, we share a drummer. Bill
Right.
was in both bands. Yeah, and we kind of came up together.
What are your
So-
memories? What are your memories of playing with Discount?
Oh, I mean, that was a lot of fun. I got to travel, go places, and a lot of it I don't remember, honestly.
What was going on for you at that time?
I
Anything
mean,
you can...
not because of any sort of bad behavior. Just,
Sure.
I don't know. I have a bad memory, I guess.
I gotcha.
But no, it was a lot of fun. I miss it. I miss playing with those guys. And yeah, it was some of the most fun I've had playing music was with Discount and the touring, the getting to go to places like Europe. And yeah, I want to do it again.
How many times did you get to travel overseas with them?
I don't know, maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? Europe primarily or Japan or?
When I was in the band, Europe, but right before I joined, they actually did Japan twice, but I didn't get to do Japan. We broke up before we could go back to Japan.
How'd you feel about that?
I was bummed.
I'm sure.
But
I bet.
But mostly Europe.
Yeah.
UK, Europe, Germany, a lot of Germany.
For you having played so many shows in stateside, what were some of the differences for you playing gigs in Europe versus playing in the US?
I think people actually show up to shows in Europe. They treat bands better over there, I guess. They feed you. You don't get fed here.
Okay. There's no catering here.
No. Not for small bands, I guess, but
yeah.
It's totally different. There was definitely a culture shock at first. And
what was the most interesting spot that you slept in or crashed in?
We played a lot of like they call youth centers, which some of them seemed like burned out World War II buildings and that were just they converted to youth centers. So there was lots of just big open warehouses, and then you slept there on the concrete floor, often without heat. And a lot of sleepless nights because of that.
I can imagine.
But I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I bet. And those are the times that's best to do it, right? When you're young, not a lot of responsibilities, and
I don't think I could do it that way anymore.
I can imagine.
I need a bed and a shower.
There you go. I agree completely with you. Did you grow up listening to a lot of punk, or what were some of your earliest musical influences for yourself?
For earliest musical influences, I guess whatever was on the radio, a lot of classic rock. My parents had records that they didn't really listen to, but I would always stare at, like my mom still had her Beatles and Simons and Garfunkel records from when she was a kid. So that was kind of the first thing that got me. And then when I got my first car, it didn't have a tape player. So I only listened to the radio, and classic rock was king in the early 90s, I guess. And lots of Skinner and Allman Brothers and ZZ Top. And then I met the kids from that ended up being Discount and in like Flynn in high school, and they all liked punk, and I had an older brother too, so whatever he liked, I liked. A kid of a certain age, late Gen X, that kind of has probably the same influences that any other kid that grew up in my time frame did.
Did you tag along with your brother to concerts and that sort of thing too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Probably
what was the first concert?
Well, the first super, super cool concert I think I went to with my brother. It's probably in 91-ish or 92. I can't remember. The Helmet and the Jesus Lizard. That was pretty cool in Melbourne.
Very cool.
That was, yeah. And then the first few Lollapaloozas, I was only allowed to go because my older brother went. So, and whatever he was listening to, I was listening to. So all that early alternative music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best times to go to Lollapalooza was probably that time period too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember your first local show being?
That I'm having a hard time remembering. It was probably, I don't. It was probably one that I played. Like we probably played with Discount, and when I first learned to play guitar, we played at like these church events after the local football games. So like just playing bad covers of,
What made you gravitate to guitar as your instrument?
Well, I was originally a bass player.
Right.
But I don't know, my buddy was a guitar player and he talked me into getting a bass so we could start a band. That's what I did. I just got a bass, or I asked my mom, begged my mom for a bass. Finally got me one.
There you go. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. And it went from there. I loved it. It was like a lot of growing up, a lot of fads. And, I begged my mom for, the video games, the rollerblades, all the other fad things, Game Boy, but they never stuck. But once I got the bass, that's what I did. That's the one that stuck. It's so much fun.
Right. So as you were kind of coming into all this, what was the scene like for you? Did you feel like you fit in? Was it kind of an outsider approach for you? What was that whole thing like as you were kind of feeling your way through all this?
Like, I guess in high school, we had a real close group of friends that were all playing in bands, and we would all hang out together all the time, go to each other's band practices, put shows on together. So in Vero, I'm talking about Vero Beach, where we grew up, we had a pretty tight scene, and we definitely weren't the cool kids in school, but we thought we were the cool kids in bands. We felt cool, I think. Probably weren't, but
right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I feel like we all probably felt that way at one point.
Yeah. I
only went to one show in Vero. It was the Vero Women's Club.
Yeah.
Did you ever play there?
Yes.
What are your memories of that venue?
My brother used to book a lot of those shows. It was always fun. That was towards the tail end of when I was living there. Then I moved away to go to college.
Where'd you go to school?
UF, up in Gainesville.
Okay.
I went to IRCC down in Fort Pierce for a couple years after high school, but I moved up to UF. Who'd you see when you went to the Women's Center? Do you remember the show?
I do. It was Dark Angel Divine,
Okay, yeah.
Shai Halud,
Oh wow.
I think Overcast played that from out of town.
Wow, yeah.
Oh, it was a amazing show.
Yeah, there were some epic shows there. Like kind of all that classic 90s hardcore
Mm.
uh bands that ended up being huge. They all played that dinky little building in downtown Vero Beach, and some of those shows were epic. And before that, the old schoolhouse. I don't know if you ever heard about that. It was a little. It
I
was a
haven't.
building just outside of town. We called it the old schoolhouse. That's where a lot of our fondest memories of shows were.
Was it actually like an old schoolhouse?
Yes, yeah, like a super one room building schoolhouse. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Yeah, great shows in Vero back then.
Yeah. Outside of Vero, what other cities throughout Florida do you remember venturing off to
We
see
played
bands play?
we played a lot in Melbourne
Melbourne.
and Tampa, Clearwater. Mostly those like, but down south a little, like Fort Pierce, rarely West Palm or yeah, not really Orlando so much, but
So
Melbourne a lot.
you weren't really getting down further than Palm Beach though, like no Miami, no Fort Lauderdale.
Me personally, no, but
Okay.
there was a little bit of cross pollination between that. The Miami kids, the Fort Lauderdale, West Palm. We were friends. We were all friends, and we'd all drive down for the big shows,
Right.
or they would drive up for the big shows. There's a cool place in Melbourne that had a lot of cool hardcore shows.
What
The
place was that?
Brothel.
Brothel.
The Brothel.
What was one of your favorite hardcore shows you saw there?
108. That I mean, every band played there, but all the big, like every Revelation band played there in the '90s. Like every Avail, like after on their first record, that was awesome. Like,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, just I'm drawing a blank. When you
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. I had seen Avail quite a few times, not that early on, but I saw them at my first time I saw Avail was at Club Squeeze in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, yeah.
So
Did that become? I don't know where that is.
No, it didn't become. It became demolished. Is what it became.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But that was a club that had a lot of bands. A lot of bands from out of town would typically play.
Right.
Variety of stuff, all different types of music. But when you went up to UF, to Gainesville, were you aware prior to going up there some of the scene
Absolutely.
of Gainesville? What were you aware of before you even moved up there?
Well, that is the main reason I decided to go to college at UF was the music scene. Because we had heard of the No Idea fanzines and the comps that they were putting out. So the Radons and the Spokes and definitely Hot Water Music were the big reason I decided to come up here. So yeah, we were well aware of Gainesville, and we actually came up and played a couple times. And like Flynn played up here a couple times. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you ever play the Hardback?
Yeah, that's where we played. Yeah.
Okay. What are your memories of playing there?
It was weird.
Why was it weird?
Well, I guess maybe that was our first like cool college town shows.
Okay.
We played with Claire Mel and Slinky,
Nice.
which was awesome for us to come up, and I guess we just randomly got that show. That was awesome.
And what's interesting too is a lot of these bands that you're naming, you eventually wound up playing in bands with some of the members of those bands.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Was that just from your
Just
seeing each other around? Like how did that kind of come around?
yeah, just I don't know, just being around each other,
Yeah.
and you see the same people at the same shows, and whether you were ever actually introduced to them, you just kind of become aware of each other and admire their other bands, or I don't know, just that you're crammed. If you're forced into a relationship with people, like you end up
Starting a band.
starting a band with them. Totally.
So it wasn't one of those situations where, you were at UF and you saw a classified ad on the wall looking for
No.
bassist guitar player and you reached out and
Yeah, no, nothing ever like that. It's just
yeah.
we were, I don't know, you're just sitting somewhere with somebody talking about, hey, let's start a band. And then, oh, this guy walks up, or we're at the pizza place, like getting a slice of pizza, and this guy that we know plays bass, like, oh, who? Let's ask him. And he says yes. And then you have a band.
Right.
And then you go practice that night. A lot of bands that only lasted a couple practices, but then some stuck.
For you, what's the one of the downsides to practicing with a band that doesn't really get off the ground?
Well, it doesn't last that long, so it's not too much of a bummer. You can kind of tell right away, not going to work. It's fun to play music, You just get together and jam, like without an idea of like starting a band. Like, hey, you want to go play sometime? I'm bored.
Right.
So no downside. You learn something from, even if it sucks, you learn something.
I agree. You mentioned the No Idea fanzine a little bit ago. Were there any other zines or publications that you were reading at that time or following that were also influential to you?
Not really from Florida that I can remember, but like definitely Heart Attack zine out of California. I don't know if you remember that. That was,
I do.
We got that a lot. And some MRR. Like our first tour, we booked through that Book Your Own Life zine that they did, the Maximum Rock and Roll, with just like a phone book full of punk houses all over the place.
Which band was that? That was that for the tour? Who was that for?
In Flint. Yeah.
Where was the first tour, or where'd you all go?
We went up to, I think, Maryland was the most north we went. And just, that first tour, we met so many people that we played in Richmond with Fun Size and Peggy Suicide, which the members of those bands went on to be in Beretta and Inquisition, and I can't even remember the other ones, but they're And we played in Maryland with the P Tanks. I don't know if you know the P Tanks.
I don't
know. Just a lot of these names are popping back into my head because I haven't thought about this in a while.
Of course.
We met those guys that tour.
Yeah.
And they're still friends now, some of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's been a while. So, but so that was the very first tour that In Like Flynn went on. Did you all? Was it a van that you all?
Yeah, went. We shared a tiny Astro van with my pal Trigger, who were from Tampa.
Right, Tampa.
The two of us went on tour together in a van and trailer. I had just graduated high school. It was the summer I graduated high school, and we went on tour.
What was it like touring with those guys?
I mean, it was a blast. I was had just turned 18 and went on my first tour. It was fun. Super fun. Learned a lot. Actually, on the last day of tour, our van got stolen. So we learned a lot that tour for sure.
Did you wind up getting it back?
We did. They stole the van and trailer. And maybe a week later, they found it on the side of the road. Did not steal the gear out of the trailer. So we got all our stuff back.
What place was that?
I think it was somewhere in Georgia.
Okay.
I can't remember the name. It's Augusta, maybe, or I can't remember.
What a
Those little
nightmare.
details I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got the van back, which is definitely good. Did you ever have any situation where gear got stolen?
No. Me personally, no. That I recall, no. No, we've been lucky. Well, it's been stolen, but we got it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first tour got everything stolen, but then we got it back.
Right, because they stole the van.
Yeah, and it's to my knowledge, it hasn't happened since. Knock on wood.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, definitely not a good feeling, when that sort of thing happens. But I have interviewed a lot of people before where, unfortunately, that sort of thing has happened.
For sure.
So, so that was the first tour. Did you all tour again after that, or?
In like Flynn, no. I think we kind of broke up shortly after that.
Okay.
That might have had something to do with it, getting our van stolen. My memory's definitely fuzzy about that breakup.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that too. So, just in terms of why the band broke up initially, do you remember the reason why you all decided to call it quits at that time?
I mean, Bill was already playing Discount. They were picking up steam, I guess. I don't know. You'll have to ask Micah. He'll have to answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an idea of the reason, but I don't think I should say it out loud.
I got you. Understood.
But we're all friends to this day, so it's not.
And that's great. Yeah.
It was for the best, I think. We all ended up doing other things.
Oh yeah. I completely agree. I mean, sometimes those things just kind of happen and work out for the best. And but also they can come full circle because here we are, MonuFest, October 22nd in like Flynn reunion show.
Yes, thanks for dropping that because I don't know the date off the top of my head. So yes.
Tons of great bands. I think I counted at least 11 bands just from Florida that are playing. Another reunion show, which I don't know how excited you are. I'm excited for this. Strike Force Diablo is
very, very excited. Yes.
Any memories of seeing them?
Yeah, totally. I mean, they were incredible live back when they were active.
Right.
Yeah. Another band that when I first moved to town, didn't really know those guys much, but they've become good friends and played in the band with the drummer later in the later years. And they were so badass live. And those first couple records, 7 inches and their first little CD were so good.
And I thought I saw also on Ashtray Monument that they're putting out a new record.
Well, it's a discography. All the old
okay. The old stuff. So nothing new, just
from my understanding of it, that's
gotcha.
But I don't know.
Don't quote you.
Don't quote me. But I think it's just old stuff.
Yeah. It's always it's interesting, hopefully, and when a band is reuniting like that, perhaps it can spark a new song or something like that. What about in like Flynn? Have you all considered doing anything new?
Yes, we have. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And that's that ends that.
Yeah, we've been practicing a lot leading up to this MonuFest. Unfortunately, Bill has not been here. We have a friend filling in for Bill. He lives in DC and can't make it down, sadly.
That's a bummer.
We have been practicing with Bill's blessing, of course. We've been playing a lot. And we actually played last weekend, a little secret warm-up gig.
Okay.
And yeah, we've talked about keeping it going.
How did the warm-up gig secret show go?
It was a lot of fun. Um,
Who came
definitely
out?
warm up.
Who came out to that? If it was kind of a secret show.
Well, it wasn't like super secret, but
Okay.
we're just gonna say it was secret.
Okay. Were
Um,
you were you billed as in like Flynn, or were you billed
yeah,
as someone else?
yeah, we said in like Flint, yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was a decent local crowd, and it
Yeah,
was fun. We had a lot of fun working the kinks out.
that's right. Yeah, because it's been a long time. So
And those songs are really fast.
they are. I've been listening to it. I mean, for the past 2 weeks, on again, off again,
Oh yeah,
and because the full discography, well, I think almost the full, according to you,
yeah.
almost the full discography.
Yeah.
I had not listened to all those songs in that sequence because
Right.
it wasn't like that before, and they sound great. Were any of them remastered?
Nope,
Okay,
not that I'm aware of. I mean, unless they did, unless Ashtray did, and I don't know.
it sounded good.
Yeah, they're all right. You know, we've talked about picking out the best ones and re-recording them, maybe, but we'll see if we get around to that. But
Sure.
I think they sound like they're dated in their production, like of, we did them in like some guy's garage. Like it's the production value in the 90s
Sure.
was,
But for many, that could be the appeal too, you know?
yeah, I guess.
So one band of yours, not from the 90s, that's also playing Monufest is Thunderclap,
Mm-hmm.
who, I mean, vastly different than a lot of your other projects, give or take. There's like one or two I think are kind of in the same vein. But I actually really enjoy Thunderclap. And I'm not like, I think the closest that I personally get to that type of music is maybe like ISIS
Okay.
or My Bloody Valentine. No, not My Bloody Valentine. My Dying Bride.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, I would take My Bloody Valentine. I'll take that.
I didn't get that vibe from.
We use pedals.
Okay. My Dying Bride is what I was thinking of. But that's kind of the vibe that I get. Plus also from like a local standpoint, Floor.
Yeah,
Comes to mind. Cavity
totally.
comes to mind. So talk about Thunderclap a little bit and just your overall, because that's still going on, right? That's still a current project of yours, right?
Yeah, totally. That's my main thing right now.
Right.
Yeah, that's I don't know where to start, but yeah, just I was looking for something a little more heavy. Number one, like just something more, a little more oomph behind it.
There is.
Sonically.
Right.
But also, just, I guess when we started the band, without getting too into it, like, I really wasn't into like happiness and like happy songs or singing la 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 and stuff like that.
It was more doom.
More aggression, yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely, I guess doom is the best readily available word for it. But it's not my favorite, but
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That's the sound in terms of like other bands who kind of sound like that doom metal, sludgy, riff heavy metal.
Yeah. Yeah, we get lumped into a lot of that sort of doom stoner metal stuff, but I don't feel like that's not what we're really going for, but I guess we hit those targets sometimes. Yeah. You mentioned the Floor and the Cavity for sure. Mm-hmm. That was our local inspirations for sort of what we're doing.
And both bands from South Florida. So did you ever have a chance to see either of those two bands play out?
I've seen them both plenty of times up in Gainesville.
Okay.
Allie, who's in Thunderclap, was from Miami. So she grew up seeing those bands and being inspired by those bands. And she writes all the lyrics, but also some of the music. So you can't blame it all on me.
Okay. Fair enough. Thunderclap, in terms of touring, where have you all been?
We did a tour we did 2 tours in 2019. One of them was up to like New York and back. And then we did actually in December of 2019, we went on a little tour out to Texas, but I got sick. So we had to cancel the rest of the tour and come home. And I think I had COVID in 2019, but
I
have no proof.
All your symptoms were COVID related.
Yeah, we were in New Orleans and I got sick in December 2019, right before everything hit the fan, and I swear it was COVID, but I have no proof.
Right.
I'm not claiming anything.
You're not claiming to be the first.
Right. No, I'm not patient zero. Maybe I was. I don't know.
Could have been. I think we've all had it at this point, or if you haven't had it, you probably will at some point.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I've never tested positive, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I've been sick, but I don't know. Who knows?
So what was that like for the rest of the band to have to, cancel like that and withdraw from it?
I mean, it was a bummer, but sometimes I think it's like, oh yeah, let's just go home for a little while. I don't think it was crushing blow. But then the world shut down, and then we haven't really done much since.
Yeah,
that's right. Been like over 2 years ago.
And how's that whole been with touring now versus back when you were yeah. But even like when you started, because you did start the 2019 tour, or did it get canceled altogether, the whole thing, but before you even played the show?
It was in December of we were doing like maybe a week or two, and it was just like 3 days in, I got the sickest I'd ever been in my life, so we canceled the rest and just came home. That wasn't a long one, but we had done a longer one in the summer of that year.
And I'm sure one of the main differences now, maybe versus then, but you tell me, is the fact that back then, there really weren't a lot of responsibilities. People weren't married, didn't have kids. And now, a lot of people have families and what have you. So what is that like now, even just considering a tour with other people, maybe including yourself, who have other responsibilities and things they have to be present for as well?
Well, now, I mean, I know we haven't even tried or talked about any sort of lengthy tour since COVID happened. Just, I don't know. I feel like, me personally at least, I feel like I aged like 10 years over the past 2, like physically and mentally, maybe. Like,
yeah,
I'm tired. I don't know if I want to do that. Like,
I have listened to Thunderclap on my 15-inch speakers, and it sounds like it's here.
Yeah.
like it's live. I mean, the sound, I've never seen Thunderclap live, but I can only imagine it's even 100 times louder than that. So
we've been accused of being too loud, but
is there such a thing as being too loud?
Probably, but I don't think we're that loud.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, that part's on purpose, I think, is like a just physically crushing feeling. Like, I want you to feel the music physically.
Right.
So that it helps to, like, turn it up or stand right by the speaker.
You don't have to even, depending on the size of your speakers, you don't have to even be that close, right. Or you may have to put in some earplugs. I think the only other band I can think of that I saw live who sounded that loud was Quicksand. It was super, super loud.
Huh.
Yeah, really loud.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
And
So,
yeah, we do that without a bass player too. Like we don't have
I
a bass player.
I know that's what's interesting because with quicksand, it's the bass that
Yeah.
really drives that power.
Right.
So, how do you all do that without having the bass as part of the sound?
We don't have a bass guitar. We don't have the instrument, but we create that tone through pedals and amplifiers and stuff. So I think if you saw us live and weren't really paying attention, you'd probably think one of us was playing a bass,
Right.
but we're not. So we
Yeah.
create bass through alternative means.
You can feel it.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, when you feel it.
You can feel it.
And, we trim the fat a little, one less band member
That
to
is
have
true.
an argument with or whatever.
Another band that I am a huge fan of is The Draft.
Right.
The Draft had some stuff put out by Epitaph, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Which, I love Epitaph records. So many great records they put out over the years. So that also features some members of Hot Water Music, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yeah.
So can you talk a bit about The Draft and how that all came about and maybe some of your memories of playing with those guys?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun while it lasted. Yeah, I guess, Discount did lots of tours with Hot Water Music. And we became friends. After Discount broke up, I did the Unitas record.
Yep.
With Jason from Hot Water. He played bass on that record. And it was with Bill from Discount and my brother. So I had a relationship there with playing music. And then I guess I really don't know the story about Hot Water and them breaking up, but they broke up or one of them left, but the other three still wanted to play. And I got the gig for whatever reason. And yeah, it was so much fun. That was another band. I got to do a lot of cool things that I never would have otherwise.
Why was there only one album?
Because probably because Hot Water got back together. Well, one thing is, Hot Water was always Chuck and Chris, but The Draft was just Chris.
Right.
So you just get the Chris songs on the Draft record. And if you like one or the other more, you might like The Draft.
Yeah.
Because it's
I think that's why I like the Ship Thieves too. I like Chris's vibe.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like Chuck too. I like both, but I gravitate more towards Chris.
Right. Yeah. And I think the Ship Thieves is a nice continuation for a Draft fan. Yeah.
Did the whole Epitaph thing come around because of the Hot Water Music relationship?
I'm sure. Yeah, totally. Because the Hot Water records were on Epitaph.
Right.
So, yeah. The last few before the Draft record, yeah. What
was your favorite show to play with the Draft?
Oh, man. We did some crazy ones. We did a tour of Brazil, so that was pretty crazy going to play there. And we did Europe a bunch.
Was that your first time in South America?
Yes.
How long were you there for?
About a week or so.
What was the most wildest story you can share about your time in Brazil?
Oh, man. the fans and yeah, it was crazy. They practically forced me to sign every item that they brought. Like I had to sign. I was forced to sign every Hot Water record there was.
Forced.
And I'm like, I wasn't in that band. No, you sign it. So, okay, sign it. That was fun, man. I don't know. It was so much fun. Probably the best meal I ever had in my life was in Brazil.
What'd you have?
We went to one of the Brazilian steakhouses with the really authentic ones. I don't know what it's called. Yeah.
The only one I'm familiar with up in these parts is Fogo de Chao.
Right. Something like that. Yeah. It's like that, but probably the OG version.
Right. I was going to say.
It was like, wow, this is the best food.
So I'm assuming from this conversation, Todd, that you're not vegan or vegetarian.
No, I'm not.
Did you ever dabble in that sort of thing?
Yeah, totally. And I yeah. We dabble with it today, but yeah. If you put something in front of me, I'm gonna eat it.
What's the craziest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh. Nothing too crazy, I don't think. I mean, what did you answer that question?
I would say the most weird thing I've ever had was sea urchin.
Oh, okay.
From a sushi restaurant. They said I would like it, and I didn't.
Right. I think I've had that before.
Wasn't a fan. It was the texture, the taste. It just, they described it for me, and I don't remember if that's what it was. I just know that it was in the napkin within about 10 seconds.
Yeah. Right.
So, but I know when you travel some of these other places, I have just in conversations with people, sometimes just based on the area that you're in, you could wind up eating something that you wouldn't typically eat stateside.
Right.
So,
sure. But I mean, I'm drawing a blank. Nothing. I'm not picky at all. Yeah. So something you might think is weird, I don't think is weird. So
true.
It's not registering to me as like to even mention it. Like,
yeah,
it's food.
Right.
It's I'm not picky.
I gotcha. You mentioned a little bit ago Unitas, one of your bands you were in, which I think is quite different than some of your previous projects as well. Had more of a, I don't call it folk vibe, but it kind of was more like acoustic.
Well, we had a couple songs like a little more blend of kind of southern rock and alt country, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you put out one record on No Idea.
Yep.
One full-length album. So can you talk a bit about your time in Unitas and that record?
Well, that was right after Discount broke up.
Right.
We didn't know what we were going to do. We all lived in the same house together. It was me, my brother, Bill from Discount, and I think Jason Black was crashing at our house too at the time. So we were just always together. I think Hot Water was just on a hiatus or something, and I had a bunch of songs that sounded like ZZ Top and like Sunvolt. I don't know if you know that band.
I do.
And we just decided to, hey, let's make a record. And that's what we did. We just made a record.
Yeah. And it's called Porch Life.
Porch Life. Yeah, because we had a little porch on our house. And we were always on the porch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that the first album that you were a part of that was released on No Idea?
Yes.
How important was that for you, kind of almost in a way, kind of growing up in the Gainesville area later on with this label, almost like the Discord Records of Gainesville? Totally. What was that like for you?
So it was big. It was huge. It was just probably 2 or 3 years before that, I had just moved into town with no band, no friends, and now I'm on the label in a band with people whose other bands I looked up to. So yeah, it was a big moment. Yeah, felt awesome.
I bet.
And
Yeah.
then we stopped playing like every other, like that's what bands do. They break up. So
Is it a lot of times just to pursue other ventures, or just from what your recollection is, or
well, why bands break up, or
why some of the bands you've been in have broken up?
I don't know. That's what I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. I don't know. Um, um, we were all just life gets in
Yeah,
the way, or
sure.
especially living in a town like Gainesville, college town. It's very transient. A lot of people just come in for a little while and they go somewhere else. Um,
Did you ever do any research on some of the scenes that came before you in Gainesville?
Research? I mean, like
Yeah,
I'm aware of, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, you could say I'm a student of
Okay.
history.
Because there
Yeah,
are sometimes some people who just aren't as familiar with some of the things.
yeah, they
Uh,
don't know. Yeah, the who paved the way in this town. Yeah,
right.
of course.
Did you have any favorite bands at the time back then who you still enjoy today?
Well, Radon is
Right on.
the easy answer. Um, Radon spoke, um, but then as I lived here and learned more about the past of bands like the Doldrums and Motley Chicks, and I can't even think. I'm drawing a blank, but
I think the Doldrums was No Idea One. I think that was in the first
possibly, yeah, maybe,
fanzine.
yeah. That was,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I think I have that one.
yeah,
So there's always something about having the first release of a label
for
that's
sure.
special for some reason. First and last.
Right.
So, uh,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, it's important since I've decided to stay here and live in this town probably for the rest of my life.
sure.
Yeah, you pick up little tidbits, but also to appreciate the people that came before you.
Right.
Yeah,
Another venue I had been to only once was Wayward Council.
yeah,
Did you ever play any shows there?
yes. I'm sure I have. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Any memories of playing at the Wayward Council?
Um, I have lots of memories of just seeing shows there. Yeah, I remember now. We did play there. It was just a little tiny little record store room,
Yeah.
and it could get pretty rowdy. Um, yeah, just drinking beers and getting wild. Yeah.
There you go. Were you the kind of guy who was in the, like when you weren't playing, were you the kind of guy who was in the pit, or were you kind of watching from the sidelines? What was your stance when you were at a show?
I think it just depends on the night.
Okay.
Mostly the guy that just stands around, but definitely there's been moments of yeah, slippery floor with a bunch of people like singing along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever stage dive?
Yeah. But definitely, I don't think I'd ever do it ever again.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's happened. There's a lot of things that have happened that I'm not going to do again.
Sure. Is there any band, whether they're from Florida or not, is there any band that if you were to go see them now, you just lose your shit? Like that's the band.
Honestly, I doubt it. But I am very excited to see Avail later this month. They're playing at the Fest in Gainesville, so
Right.
I'm excited to see that.
When was the last time you saw them play?
Probably the Draft did a tour with them, so probably on that tour. So that's been almost, that's been almost 15 years, probably
Oh
15
wow.
years.
What was it like touring with Avail?
Fun. Yeah, they're great guys.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. And they're pretty laid back and chill and just nice people. Yeah, it's not crazy at all.
Right. I would imagine that that's kind of how it would be.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you confirmed that. And speaking about the fest and even predating Gainesville Fest, how many times have you played those shows?
The fest
Yeah.
specifically, most of them probably, but there's a few that I didn't have an active band at the time, or I was on tour. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't actually know. I couldn't tell you, oh, I missed this one, or
Sure.
like
There's been a lot.
Fest 9. I don't even
Sure.
know what that was.
Sure.
What was
There's
Fest
been
6? I don't know.
there's been a number of them. So
I barely remember what last year was.
did you have any was there any specific show at the fest where you that really just stands out for you in your memory as that was a really great show or that was just a great lineup? Did you have any of those thoughts?
Oh yeah. I actually think might have been Fest 2. I think whatever year Mastodon played, that was incredible. Baroness, when they were young and new, when
Sure.
they played, they were awesome back in the early fests.
Right.
Can't remember what numbers.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was there any shows that you were supposed to play or you could have played that you missed for whatever reason and it still irks you to this day?
Oh, I try not to let things irk me, but I can't remember anything off the top of my head. No, I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
If you remind me of it, I'll be like, oh yeah.
I've interviewed a lot of people, and for whatever reason, there was a show at a club, and that club they grew up with, and they had a chance to play it, and they just, for whatever reason, didn't happen, and it just,
Right.
it's like that dream you had, and just didn't get fulfilled. So, but
I fulfilled all my dreams. So
there you go.
I'm good.
What's been your favorite club to play?
Oh, anyone with a backstage room, a green room. Just any club that has a place where I can go and it's quiet.
Yeah. Is that more your thing? Are you kind of like that? You just prefer peace, quiet, and then when the show's on, you just turn it up?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I'd rather there a place to sit, not in the loudness and yeah. I'd like there to be a place for me for no one bothers me for 30 minutes.
I can appreciate that. Couple quick hit questions. So the first question I wanted to ask, more quick hit, is what was the craziest pit you've ever seen?
Yeah, that's probably another question. I don't like. I'm not a big pit guy.
Maybe just playing, like you played the show and you're like, holy crap, like what's going on down there?
No,
anything
really,
come to mind? No.
Well, I used to be in a band called Kumite. And that was like a
blood sport.
Yeah, totally. We were a total metal band, and those were fun watching that from the stage. But
I can see that. That music is quite heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, like watching some of the Lollapalooza things from afar. Like, wow, I have no interest in going in there.
Right.
What's the point of that?
What's the point?
Yeah.
Was there a band locally who you never had the chance to see live and you wish you could have?
Like from Gainesville? No.
Could be Gainesville, Vero, anywhere in Florida, really. I mean, don't have to be either of those two. So
Not really, no. Maybe like I'd say I'd like to see some of the Tampa death metal bands in their prime. That would be fun.
Did you have any favorites from that area? Death metal?
Well, I'd say actually the band Death.
Death.
I wish I could have seen that band live. But I've seen Cannibal Corpse and Obituary recently, but I wish I could have seen them in '91 or something like that,
Yeah.
Or Deicide, and after the first record, that would have been cool.
I bet. Yeah.
If you want to talk about pits, I don't know.
Yeah, right. I've been to my share of death metal shows, and although the craziest pit I had ever seen was Slayer.
Yeah, I've heard people say that before.
I'd stay far away from a Slayer pit.
I have never seen Slayer, so
that's surprising.
Cool to see
that
them
surprises me.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen them 20 years ago, not in the last decade run they had, or
yeah. I saw them in 97 or 98. Fear Factory opened up for them.
Was probably they didn't have what's his name on drums. It was. Do you recall who the drummer was?
I don't.
Yeah.
No, it's been too long. So I'm gonna use that memory card on that one.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was on drum. I just remember like I was in the pit for Fear Factory when Slayer came on. It was Get Out Now.
Yeah.
The whole vibe changed. I mean, not that Fear Factory to me they're pretty heavy too, but
right.
the entire scene in the pit was different people.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy.
The hardcore Slayer fans were just waiting.
Oh yeah. It's like you couldn't see them when Fear Factory were on, but when they were done, it's like a total scene change.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, are you a record collector?
I used to be, but I recently sold most of my collection. Yeah, I'm in the process of trying to dump most of my pointless material possessions, and I just can't justify having all those records anymore because I never listen to them. I don't listen to them.
Sure. Is there any one that you may hang on to for sentimental reasons, or?
Well, I kept a lot of my like old country records because I'll throw something like that on occasionally.
What kind of country?
Well, the older stuff.
Okay.
Lots of. I'm drawing a blank.
Like Hank Williams old, Waylon Jennings old. Like how old we talking?
Well, not Hank old, and somewhere adjacent to Waylon.
Okay.
Like John Prines and.
I gotcha. Like 70s.
Rodney Crowell. Yeah, I don't know.
The Enablers have a kind of a country vibe too, and and that's with I know Dan Bonebreak.
Yep.
So because I just put out a 7-inch.
Yeah, I saw that.
Dan's on. So how did you link up with him?
Well, my old band, Black Cougar Shock Unit,
I've heard of them.
Did a tour with the Enablers in the UK. Actually, we went over to England together, and I didn't know them at all, but we hit it off. And when we got back from tour, the Enablers have had a crazy arc of member comings and goings over the years. So after we got back from tour, they needed a guitar player for a run of shows. So they asked me. And so I just learned all the songs, and then I've kind of been in it ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Rob Coe, the main dude in the Enablers, yeah, he lives up here now. But they're originally from Miami. But,
right. More South Florida.
Yeah. He's Yeah, we hit it off when we met. We went on tour together, and
Nice.
yeah,
The rest is history.
the rest is history.
There we go. What's been the most awkward or maybe embarrassing moment you've had, and whether it be on tour or just playing locally, that you can share?
Embarrassing. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's happened more than once, but there was a stretch of time there where I had a habit of splitting my pants open
Oh no.
on stage. So yeah, that happened a
We're
couple times.
talking jeans?
Yeah, split jeans clean open.
Oh no.
Yeah,
What do you do in those situations?
just bring your guitar down a little bit. And,
I can't say I've ever seen that. The closest I've ever seen it was on purpose was David Yao. But that was on purpose.
right. Yeah, never on purpose. Like an accidental leg kick that went a little too. Was like, oh, oops.
That's
Sorry
funny.
for the show, front row.
Oh man, that's funny. Out of all the projects you've been in, what's been the one that's closest to your heart?
That's well, Thunderclap has been good. Also, I might say the Enablers. Like that one was a lot of fun. When we were hitting it good and hard, that one felt really, really good. Yeah. But probably I'd have to say Thunderclap because that's most of the bands I were in over the years. I wasn't the primary songwriter or band leader, whereas with Thunderclap, it's a little more. I have more of a claim to it being my baby.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Has a different feel.
Yeah.
To it. And the last question I'll ask is around ManuFest. What are you looking to get out of this, and what are you most looking forward to?
Well, I just hope I make it through because I'm playing back to back, and like Flynn and Thunderclap are playing back to back.
Oh wow!
So I'm a little concerned about my respiratory fortitude.
You may want to do some jumping jacks or some burpees before you get started.
And like Flynn is so fast, I call it the claw. My hand just claws up and it's so fast.
Right.
I just hope I play well. And but last year we played and it was so much fun. Really cool downtown area. I just want to have fun. Everybody have fun. And be nice to each other.
That's right. Super exciting for those that are able to attend ManuFest again, October 22nd at Ordnance 1 in Newport Richey, Florida. Yeah. So again, in the description, you'll find information. So if you're looking to get tickets, please do. A lot of great bands, and many of them we've talked about, at least a few we've talked about during our interview here today. In closing, Todd, I'll let you kind of wrap things up. Any final thoughts you'd like to share before we close out of our interview today?
Well, you covered the ManuFest. We're also playing the Fest in Gainesville. Thunderclap is. So I think it might already be sold out. So I don't know, but I don't know. Check out Ashtray Monument, the record label. They put out all the Thunderclap stuff and some other great bands. That's really it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Rock and roll.